And this is how we get down. What's good, everybody? Welcome into Coach and Company, the podcast. We do this every single weekday to support our morning show that is available in over 100 million homes on the Stadium Network, Prime Video, DirecTV, YouTube TV. The list goes on and on. I am your host. I'm your navigator alongside producer man. We run this brand and all of the other shows and content that we produce out of it. Now, we continue to grow. We're coming off a very emotional, exciting July 4th holiday around this United States of America that we call home. And I think I'm reminded that sports and sports entertainment is where we go to release. And it's why, as much fun as we have here at BTT Studios, we also have a responsibility to provide you guys with fun, education, entertainment, because life sometimes can really smack you upside the head. So that's why we are here. You can catch us on YouTube for the video portion, social media for the video portion, or in conjunction with our partners over at Believe. We have our own audio feed. And also, you can get all of the content, all the shorts and the reels and all that kind of stuff on our audio podcast page. So we've got a lot going on. The easiest way to follow us is to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels at BTT and also Coach and Company. We never go longer than 20 or 30 minutes. If you want to come in on our YouTube page and have your voice be heard, you can do that as well. So where do we start? We had a lot of things happen over the weekend. And Angel Reese and LeBron James, two of the biggest names in their respective leagues, really taking center stage. Trades. We are now past the period where teams can no longer sign players in the NBA. That opened late last night. And so now all the deals that you've been hearing about, that you've been seeing about, they will be signed. So a 7-player trade with Kevin Durant, that will be finalized today. We had another big trade announced during the morning show. The Heat, the Clippers, and one other team moving a lot of players around. So we're seeing a lot of movement as teams try to position themselves. Let's be honest. This is going to be a very weighted league next year to the West, which leads to our first topic of the day, and that is LeBron James. And last week, he did something that he's never done before, and that is opt in to his player option for the first time in his career. 8 times he had a player option. 7 times he never opted in. He always used it as leverage, as a bargaining chip. And now there are a lot of people out there, and I'm tending to start to believe in what they are saying. Here's the story that they believe could happen in the next several days. So when LeBron James opted in, his agent, Rich Paul, who will be a full partner in their agency as soon as LeBron James is done, because obviously it's been a conflict of interest for years. Everybody knows what's been going on. They just have kept the relationship agent and player. And when LeBron is done in the next year or two, it will be agent and partner and CEO LeBron James. He has himself set up. But the one thing LeBron James has always wanted to do, and I was there when he went for 50 against the Knicks all those years ago. I had like a 2-year buffer where I was trying to get out of WWE, trying to get to ESPN or Fox, and Madison Square Garden Network hired me to do halftime, pregame, things like that. And he's always had a love for MSG. Any NBA player, any performer, any musical act knows that to really arrive, you've got to play Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are now the betting favorite in the Eastern Conference. Rich Paul, LeBron James' agent, went on record saying after he opted in, LeBron James wants to play for a contender. Well, why would he have to say that if the Lakers were already considered a contender? The team that was the 3 seed this past postseason and got bounced in the first round by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Why would he say that if LeBron James was comfortable with what the Lakers have done and are doing to position themselves for next year? Well, here's the facts. The facts are that no matter what they do, no matter what moves they make, they will not be as good as the Thunder. They probably won't be as good as the Rockets. They probably won't be as good as the team that plays in the same city as they do, the Clippers. And that's just three of the teams. If AD and Kyrie get healthy, the Mavs will be better. And they got rid of Luka, and they're bringing in Cooper Flag. So think about that. So when I hear the news or the rumors that LeBron James could be traded to the Knicks, is it really that far-fetched? By opting in, he makes it easier to trade him. And look who the Knicks just hired as their next head coach. One of my favorite human beings that I've ever got to work with, that I've ever been around when it comes to the NBA, and that is Mike Brown. He's never been a superstar coach as far as he doesn't like the attention. He's not a quote machine. He's just a really good dude that's a really good coach that I think they're setting him up to be a sacrificial lamb if they don't do something. Remember when he was kind of the shocking hire for the Cavs? And then he ends up backing his way into the Kings job. Then he loses that. And then now, yet another team. Now, I have my own issues with the NBA using recycled coaches. I think there's a lot of really good assistant coaches out there. But the truth of the matter is this. If you're going to get a mega star to come play for you, a lot of stars want a coach that they believe in. And a lot of stars want to play for a coach that has a track record. So bringing in a young upstart coach that nobody knows in New York is probably not the way they want it to go. And clearly they didn't do that. You got coaches in Oklahoma City that nobody knew. Now, do you even know the name? No, but he's a great coach. But he has a lot of young players that were drafted there and had to play for him. If you're the Knicks, that's not necessarily the case. They have Obi. They have Jalen Brunson. They have Josh Hart. They have a lot of these veterans that wanted a head coach to come in that really knew what they were doing and doesn't just play 7 or 8 players in the playoffs. But they also wanted a head coach that was able to bring in some big name players. And I think that's exactly who Mike Brown is. So if you're LeBron James and your family has spent the last several years in LA, your son is still on the Lakers, by the way, ESPN.com, be better. They're calling him Air Bronny at a summer league game in their highlights on ESPN.com. Air Bronny. You can't call somebody Air anything in the same 25-year span or 30-year span as Air Jordan. But he did score 10 points last night, 11 minutes in their summer league game. Would LeBron leave that to go to the Knicks? And what would the Knicks have to give up in order to get LeBron James in New York City? How NBA trades worth is there has to be, I believe the financials are within 15%. So you can't just trade a nobody for a superstar. It's not how it works. There's got to be some type of evenality to it. So that would be an interesting topic or discussion on what the Knicks would give up. You got to keep Jalen Brunson. He is the gas that makes the car go. But think about if LeBron James, at over 40 years of age, made another move to the Mecca, to the greatest arena, the world's most famous arena in all of time. Think about it, that would happen. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the what ifs instead of the what is. And the what is this. LeBron James is over 40 years of age. LeBron James has been running the NBA like a puppet master for years. That's just what he's done. When I was at ESPN, we would talk about LeBron James every single day. Skip Bayless, his desk was right next to mine. Every day it was Tim Tebow and LeBron James. And then you have a few people on social media, we're so tired of hearing you talk about LeBron James back then or even now. But Colin Cowherd taught me, and I think he's the greatest radio host of all time. He said, Coach, you got to play the hits. We would have 12 segments in a radio show at ESPN. And when I started, I would have 12 different topics. So one day I sat him down to pick his brain, and I said to him, how do you put your show together? He said, well, let me turn it around on you. How do you put your show together? And I said, well, I got 12 segments, and I try to find 12 topics. He said, why would you do that? And I said, because it's a 3-hour show. He said, Coach, play the hits, meaning the top of every hour, you talk about the same topic. Now, you might tweak it just a little bit, but you talk LeBron James the top of every single hour. Why? Because a lot of people are not sitting and listening to a 3-hour radio show, or like our new show on Sirius XM, 2 to 4 Eastern every single day, including today. They're not listening to the full 2 hours. If they are, you've already got them. You don't have to sell them. So Colin would tell me, so you come up, those 3 topics are 3 of the 12 segments. He said, then you only prepare for half of the show, because the other half, you can repeat the topics. Because people from 10 a.m. to 1 or noon to 3 or 2 to 5, whatever it is, they're moving differently. So LeBron James, whether you want to admit it or not, or if you're one of those that complains without posting on social media, he has been the straw that stirs the drink for over 20 years. There's a reason he has over 100 million followers on social media. People are very interested in what he does. So if that's the case, then it would be an incredible story for him to be traded to New York City and the Knicks for the final year or two of his career. But would that be enough? If you're the Knicks and you're Knicks management and Knicks ownership, to get 1 year of everybody's watching you, every single game is in prime time, would be on ESPN or Amazon, every game, and also MSG Network. Would that be enough to lose who you would have to give up to get LeBron James? That's the reality of all of this. I don't know. And so many times executives at big networks get caught up in, oh, we've got this star to come in. They overpay for an analyst, or they overpay for this guy because they think the audience is so interested in that particular person, instead of a show that has chemistry, or a show that loves to laugh and they do it together and it's not silly like Inside the NBA. They get caught up in stars. So I could see how the Knicks would think that 1 year of all this attention would be better than building on going to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They are the betting favorite right now. Think about it. The Celtics will be without Jason Tatum the entire 2025-2026 season. Tyrese Halliburton, in all likelihood, out for the entire season. You've got, I know I'm missing one more major injury on the Eastern Conference, but the bottom line is, you get my point. In the Western Conference, you got all the good teams. It's so heavily weighted. So if you are Rich Paul, going all the way back to my original statement, and you really want LeBron James to play for a championship and win that 5th chip, it ain't going to be in the Western Conference. It just simply is not. So it would make a lot of sense for LeBron to want to go to the Eastern Conference, in addition to a lot of sense for the Lakers to get rid of him. The one that it doesn't make sense for, the Knicks themselves. You are listening to the Coaching Company podcast. We're here every single weekday to support our morning show, which is live on the Stadium Network, Prime Video, DirecTV, etc., etc. Another big topic, and it's good and bad, WNBA. When you get to July, I'm just going to be honest. We do a lot of baseball on Coaching Company every day. I am not that interested in baseball. I'm just not. I'm way more interested in talking about basketball and football in July than I am about the one sport that's being played in July. That's just who I am as a sports fan. And if you're the WNBA and you've got all this attention and all of these eyeballs, and then you've got negative stories coming out of those, what am I talking about? Well, the positive is that Angel Reese is starting to come into her own. For much of this year, even before the season started, it was about being jealous. It was about not embracing her inner heel, as I like to call it, not being a good shooter. Well, I can eat a little bit of crow. I'm happy to do that. Angel Reese, 4 straight, maybe even 5 or 6 now, but she became the first WNBA player to have 4 straight games with at least 15 rebounds. She then, last night, became the first WNBA player to have 2 straight games with 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists, at least that many. She is starting to make a name for herself outside of just being Caitlin Clark's most hated rival. She is also an all-star now and is selling merch. God bless her. Me bounds, rebounds, all-star bound on her own website. Smart. Love the hustle. Here's where the negativity is starting to come out, because for every good WNBA story, you've got a negative one. There are a couple of players that have been the power behind the unrivaled league. I believe that's what it's called. The women's 3-on-3 league, where they're averaging about $200,000 for their salaries, and two major players, I believe. God, I don't have the two names in front of me, but one of them came out and was talking about how they believe it's a conflict of interest to be an executive for that league and also represent the WNBA in their upcoming CBA negotiations. Because remarkably, and I don't know any other business that is like this, remarkably, the WNBA and their players believe that they are due or owed significantly more money. Apparently, not paying attention to how the NBA does it, and they get a percentage of their TV deals. That's where most of their money comes from. Well, the WNBA, their media rights deal is nowhere near the NBA, but yet they want to be paid. Why? Because you want the NBA owners to go into more debt for your team, even though they're making a profit with their NBA team. It doesn't make any sense. If you are Coke, for example, and you are selling this many cans of Coke, you would not pay your employees more than you're bringing in sales. It just wouldn't make any sense. But that's what these women are proposing. And if they don't get it, we're going to sit out. So there are stories out there that the two women who are top executives in Unrivaled and executives in the WNBA Players Association, that it's a conflict of interest, that it would help the Unrivaled League if the WNBA was out. The most ridiculous thing I've ever read or heard. Any publicity positively that the WNBA gets right now is a good thing. And all they get is these negative stories. Because all the players, yeah, I understand I think it's now up to 125,000. I think the average salary is between 50 and 70,000. Yeah, that's not a lot of money when you're a pro athlete. Get that. A lot of these women do not want to travel anymore like they used to, like Diana Taurasi did, like Brittany Griner did, and then you got thrown in jail. They don't want to have to travel to Russia anymore, where they were making upwards of $1 million a year to play basketball. It's scary. I would not want to go either. Once you get into those countries, all bets are off. So now a lot of those top players are losing that income. So they're playing an Unrivaled, and they want more money in the WNBA. The problem is that their star power in their mind is much bigger than it actually is. And so if they sit out, and if they do indeed decide to strike, it could be the demise of the WNBA as we know it. In the same breath that they're talking about expanding to 5 new cities over the course of the next 5 years, which is also a topic that I can't even wrap my head around. You're a league that is losing money, but you're talking about expansion in Toronto, Philly, Cleveland, Detroit, and one other city. Doesn't matter. Cleveland and Detroit already had WNBA teams, lost them, and now they're in line to get them back. I just don't know how these WNBA executives are thinking, or these players are thinking. You have to earn a profit, and then you get a percentage of said profit. That's how it works. All right, do not forget, we are here every single weekday. We never go longer than 20 or 30 minutes, mainly because I need to save my voice because I do a lot of shows. Let's set the table for the rest of the day. We have Off the Ropes. I encourage you, get your SiriusXM subscription today. It's a brand new Channel 156 Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7. It is pro wrestling all day, all night, and I am thrilled to be a part of it. And I will readily admit that a year ago, when we started Behind the Turnbuckle with me and Big Tommy C, I had not been truly invested with my heart in pro wrestling for many years, for many reasons. However, that has changed in the last year. And because of my renewed interest in pro wrestling, a lot of things we have manifested into real shows, real content, and we are now really starting to take off. So, SiriusXM, thrilled that they would trust me with the 2 to 4. And I've got different partners every single day. Today, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, will be my co host, and love him, known him for many, many, many years. Then we have moved our Coach and Bro show with me and Vince Russo now because of SiriusXM, 5 p.m. Eastern time on most Mondays and Thursdays. Easiest thing to do, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and every time we start a show, you get a little bit of a ding, and then you can come in and check us out. And then every Monday, it's the last word immediately following Raw on Netflix. Me, Big Tommy C, Gabby, and Raphael on certain days. We talk everything that just happened on Raw and some of the bigger stories. And this is a big week in pro wrestling. You've got Saturday night's main event, Goldberg's final match against Gunther. You've got Evolution, a all-female show that is really struggling to sell tickets. And on the AEW side, you have their biggest show of the year, All in Texas. And there's a lot of interest. It's going to be, I believe, at the Rangers baseball stadium outdoors, I think is where it's at. So we've got a lot of topics to discuss. That's going to do it for now for the here. I thank all of you for supporting the brand. Subscribe to both of our YouTube pages. We both need them to grow to get certain things so we can do more. That'll do it for me, for Producer Man. I am the coach. This has been Coach and Company, the podcast, and we will see you right back here on Tuesday. Take care.